Let me begin by, first of all, reporting my director to you. Who said etiquette is etiquette.
Amembo.
Yes, I have to.
Male amembo.
Yes, male mebo, whatever it is. But, you know, to this conversation about lifestyle, of course, lifestyle is it's a very wide conversation, but today I want to talk about social graces. Well, perhaps you've noticed a gradual lessening of common courtesy in the world. Who enjoys telling a friend, a neighbor, reduce the volume of your sound system? Who does?
Or tell your kids to be quiet, please.
In a quiet way.
in a nice way.
Who enjoys telling a friend or breaking it down to a friend that you won't be able to make it to their wedding? Well, life happens, right? So you have to tell them. Or how do you tell them in a way that they
don't feel offended?
Yeah. So, simply put, social graces, we understand, we'll get more information about that, are supposed to be certain skills that help you to navigate politely in the world. You advise that we should focus on an angle of this social graces thing, the communication part of it. Well, to do that with us this morning, we have Uche Mafidon, who is an etiquette consultant and life skill coach. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you for having me.
When we opened the program, we called it Lifestyle Social Graces. The first question, a number of people, some people are probably saying social graces as a thing for the first time.
What is that?
Exactly. So, you want to, first of all, let's begin from there.
All right. Thank you so much for having me today on the show, and I am so excited to be here. Thank you. So, social graces basically is, you know, the courtesy, right, that and the way that we relate to people in social settings and situations of any sort whatsoever. So it's just you being gracious enough towards another. That's why it's called social graces. It's just, you know.
Yes. How do you tell a man who is chasing you at a cocktail party that he's got halitosis? How do you tell him in a nice way? Is there a nice way of saying that?
Okay, so
well, if he doesn't know the meaning of the word halitosis,
then
that will be fine.
He may not take offense, and that's true. Okay, so, you know, like I said, it's just you being considerate of other people's feelings, right? So it's not just about you being concerned about how you feel, you know. So it's, if you understand that people would, you would appreciate it when people, you know, kind of like take your feeling into consideration, then you should take that initiative and deal with people that way. Yeah, somebody may have halitosis, like you rightly said, but you do know that going directly and telling the person that they do have halitosis is something that would definitely tell on their esteem. So you do not want to do that. So
you don't want to tell them at all.
Exactly,
you just move away.
Exactly. So if you know that you're not going to, you know, be comfortable having, you know, a long conversation with the person, you just gracefully move away and, you know, get on with someone else.
Well, he persists on chasing you, and you're not interested, and you have moved nicely, you know, away, and he follows you.
Okay.
You two chase.
Leave me alone, your mouth this smell.
No, I mean, you just gracefully tell him that you need to go and attend to other people. You know, that, I mean, you just need to go and talk to someone, of course. If he's a gentleman, which I presume he should be, he would, you know, let you go.
Well, sorry I started from that end. That was the deep end, really.
You know, but even at that, let's go to the word, you know, social graces. The first thing, and it's about relating with people in the public.
Exactly.
The first place that takes me is the social media.
Yes.
Social.
Ooh. Social media, social graces.
Yeah. Is there such a thing? Social media, social graces on social media?
Okay. So yes, there's something as social media on social graces. Okay, that's your term, right? So, but what is called is etiquette. Etiquette for, you know, the internet. You know, how to behave in the social media space.
Oh,
yeah, yes.
So that's a thing.
Oh, it's a thing,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
What necessitated that in the first place?
All right, of course, the whole idea of, making sure that people are well respected, people are, put into consideration for whatever reason, whatever it is you're doing with them. Of course, this also translates to the social media space, because the people you're conversing or communicating with are real human beings. Some people tend to quickly forget that, because, you're behind your device and you're doing whatever it is you're doing. You forget that the person behind the, at the other end of the device is also a human being. So it's always very important that we understand some guidelines that help to, navigate and help to guide how you behave and relate with people, even on the social media space.
You need to take us through that.
Okay.
Because I think the social media has evolved another word now from an existing word. Violence. It's not violence. 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 Oh yes, I'm telling you, it's a thing.
I have learned a new word today.
So, and it's essentially a way of just, I don't even know how to describe it. That they just go all out, like vicious on whoever it is that, they're having this conversation with on the social media. So, in terms of these etiquettes, what are these etiquettes that have been lost? What necessitated the loss? It will seem like some people have so much to say on the inside that they just let it out on social media. And etiquette is right there in the recycle bin.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, most times when people are not considerate of the fact that whoever it is that you're relating with on the social media space, it also has feelings like you do, you tend to quickly forget, that there's a certain way that you should relate and interact with people on that space. And because of course, one thing I know for a fact, is the fact that the same way you will interact with someone behind a device is not the exact same way that you will interact with the person on a one-on-one conversation. Yes, because of course, I mean, the respect, the consciousness of the fact that, oh, this person is older, this person is more respected, is there. So that's the same consciousness that we are saying that you should carry even when you converse behind your devices.
But Uche, wouldn't you say that it's easier because even people who are shy can communicate on their devices?
Yes.
And because they're not facing the other person, they feel freer to write or say whatever it is that's actually in their minds, which they cannot say when they see the person, because they're naturally shy people.
Yes.
So doesn't that give them license, so to speak, because the person is not present physically?
Okay, so the thing is, I mean, nobody can be shut out from speaking. I mean, at every point in time, if you have something to say, go ahead, and say it. But what we're saying is the manner with which you communicate your thought at every point in time should be something that you look at very intently before putting it out there. Like, take, for instance, the truth is, whether you like it or yes, there's a particular way that somebody will communicate to you as an individual that you get put off. Not even seeing the person or having verbal conversations with the person, just by, sending a chat or something in the tone, because of course, messages carry tone as well. Yeah. So in the tone that you send the message out to someone, somebody just speaks, or feel offended and begins to say, oh no, you shouldn't say this to me or send this to me and all that. So these are some of the things that we're saying you should take into cognizance, the fact that when you send your message out, whether you're replying a chat, whether you're making a comment on any post that has been put out there, you should critically look at it and tell yourself, is this something that if someone sends me this kind of thing, because I mean, the best way to test that is, you treating people the way you would love to be treated. So if someone sends that kind of message to you, how will you feel?
On that, the question that I want to ask you is, how do you know how the other person is going to receive it? We say this in communication, Alero, that it's one thing to encode a conversation to you, something to you. It's another thing for you to receive it in a particular way. For instance, someone sends you a 3-letter apology. I am sorry. How you interpret it depends on a myriad of things. Like,
on what side of the bed you woke up this morning?
So the person was saying it, for instance, the person could write and say, as penitently as he could feel it, I am sorry. Full stop. And you receiving it, you just say, can you imagine? Of everything I said, you just say, I am sorry. So that's I don't know how we can get around that. You've talked about interpretation.
Yes.
As one of those things. But what are those other things that are necessary in the necessary etiquettes in the online space that people need to be conscious of, other than the one that you mentioned already?
All right. So just quickly, addressing what you just said about, people interpreting messages differently. Now, it's true. At least I think I've also been in that space, where someone sends a message to you and you're like, of all the things that I had to send to you, these are just what you have to say, really, So I think that's where, we need to be sensitive to people, especially because of course, the reason why I'll feel that way is because some things have transpired. If it was just maybe like, like normal conversation that there's nothing, there, you will not pick anything. You just, oh, it's fine. Do you understand? But if there's been some conversations that have been going on and you just go, because like I said, our messages carry tone. Do you understand? So they have tones to it. So if, take for instance, you're trying to explain something to someone and the person just gives you like 2 lines response, you know that there's more. This is not supposed to be. So I know that you do not have control, but the truth also is this. The person who is sending that short message could also, have something in the mind to say, okay, you know what? You're just blabbing. Let me just say this to just shut you up. And that can be communicated, whether you're saying it verbally or not. Yeah. So, yeah, it's important that you're sensitive at every point in time to people. Do you understand? That's why I said what I said earlier, that if you understand or if you know how you would love to feel around people, then you should communicate that same way to people. In fact, bottom line for me is always make people feel great being around you. Now, so coming down to some of the ways that we communicate on online space, I'm just going to make an instance. I'm glad I'm having this opportunity to talk about this. So I come on social media space and I, go to my inbox and I see tons of messages and from people, of course, that I do not know, maybe that I'm friends with, and they reach out to say, hi, hello, how are you, and you're wondering, this person doesn't even know me, so why are you just saying hi? And of course, I go ahead to say, hello, good morning, introduce myself and say, how may I help you? Because, I don't know you from anywhere. And the person goes, oh, where are you from? People really like these things, like, where are you from? What state are you in? Like, why would you even be asking me such questions?
How is that your business?
Why
this is not socially gracious.
Why would you even ask me?
Have you seen vowels?
Yeah, that's an example of vowels, right?
Vowels, indeed.
But this is it. Instead of responding, of course, I can't even deny the fact that a lot of the times I'm tempted to respond that way. Right? But then I said to myself, okay, so this person doesn't know any better. And I think I'm in the position to, educate and exemplify what I want to pass, the message that I want to pass across to this person. Because if I'm saying, be a person of good manners and all that, and then I'm not one who's, portraying that.
That's right.
It will just be me sounding very hypocritically, right? So now for such situation, what I just go ahead to do is I introduce myself and then ask you, and then I think it got to a point, there was even one that I had a conversation, and I had to, take our time to educate the person. I said, when you're reaching out to someone for the first time, it's always important that you introduce yourself and make your intentions known as to why you're reaching out, because for all you know, the person has like 1,001 people to respond to. So if you see a lot of highs, and I'm telling you, there's a likelihood that your mail or your message may not get a response.
It goes to voicemail.
Exactly, it goes to voicemail, exactly. So, but when you come direct, because of course, when you just say, okay, these ones are on serious people, one of the things that tell that you are serious is when you are able to say, okay, this is it, come out and I'm telling you, when you see a detailed message that way, you just will be tempted to say, okay, I think this person deserves an attention from me.
Especially in the way it starts.
Exactly, especially in the way that it starts. Okay. Another part I also want to mention very quickly is, you know, when we chat, because these things are things that we see that they're, you know, our everyday experience, whether we like it or yes. And there's something I am not very comfortable with from you know, what I do. One of the things that I aim forward doing is to raise polished influencers. So polished influencers may not necessarily be people who are pulling the high rates of number of followers on social media, but people who are intentionally living their lives in such a way that they are teaching other people how to live by the way that they themselves are living. And they're not doing this hypocritically, but they're just doing because that's their lives, you know, like the example. Not
just for the crowd.
Not just for the crowd, yes. But, you know, so this is how I think you should behave when you're relating with people in a space that is not your private house. When you come out to...
Okay, I like us because we're running out of time.
Okay.
Can you speak to the workplace as well?
Oh, yeah.
Workplace etiquettes. Sizable number of people watching us now. Maybe our bosses in their offices, you know, heads of organizations and all of those things. And they have to deal with people who don't have a tinge of an idea about this whole social graces, you know, conversation. And they have to deal with them. And, of course, one way or the other, these things affect the bottom line.
Of course.
What are the things a manager should look out for in the people that work with them or that they work with? And how can they help to influence them better for the sake of the organization, the objectives of the organization?
Yeah, so I'm just going to take it from there. So the objective of the organization, what does your organization stand for? Because, you know, whatever your organization represents, you want to make sure that everyone in that organization, you know, put that out, portray that out. And one of the things that we readily say is, you know, for you to run orientation programs, all right, to run orientation programs in such a way that people understand what your organization stands for. So that you don't have people, you know, fighting, because of course there's been situations like that where people, you know, kind of like, you know, talking about violence now, fight and bicker and all of that in the office space because the objective, the goals and the policies are not well clearly stated, you know, as to what we represent as an organization. So once that is being communicated and every team member of that organization has that picture and runs with it, I mean, it just makes the work a lot more easier. So you don't have to be telling A, this is how to behave, and tell this B how to behave. Like everyone that comes, you keep telling them the same thing over and over again. So when you have orientation programs, where you have like training programs for them, you communicate these things to them in such a way that everyone is seeing the same picture. So if we say that we're really nice people here, we're kind people, we're courteous people here in this organization, it runs through, you know, on everyone. Do you understand? So that, you know, you don't have someone doing something separate from what you say that you represent.
Okay, Uche, let's talk briefly about telephone etiquette.
Yes, ma'am.
So a young customer service person calls me from some company now and says to me, am I speaking to Alero Edu?
Okay.
Of course, my immediate response is, Mrs. Edu to you, please, how may I help you? I mean...
It's like you have some coded vowels.
That was not voweless.
That was vowel.
No. I mean, I was polite enough.
Like, I don't know you. Who are you?
So why must you address me by my first name like that? I mean, I could very well be your grandmother. So a lot of that is going on. People just pick up the phone and just talk to people anyhow, as my friend here would say. What is the correct way to address a perfect stranger on telephone?
Amazing. Okay, so, I mean, I share in your sentiments because, I mean, a lot of the times when, you know, you get a call from some people and the way that they behave over the, you know, phone conversation, you're wondering, oh my God, who's this person? Like, you're almost tempted to just drop the call on the person and just move on. But then again, like I said, yes. So
you're not alone.
Thank you.
But then again, you know, like I said earlier, you also remember, you know, what you're representing, who you are. Because, see, some of the things that you know about, good manners and all that, a lot of people do not actually know. And I mean, you can actually owe that to maybe their orientation, their backgrounds and all that, their association, their environment and all that. So sometimes when you come in contact with such people...
But Uche, one would assume that customer service people have been well trained.
Okay, so, but I don't think that is the assumption actually, but it is not in all cases, unfortunately.
Whoa.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Am I missing something? So you put a customer service person front desk? Well, that's front desk.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a manner of speaking, and you wouldn't train the person.
I mean, we have such situation, and it's rather unfortunate, really. It is. I mean, okay, let me give you an instance. I think one of the organizations that I worked at, and then, someone called to complain very strongly about how that the person who attended to him didn't attend to him very well, and then, because I think the person on the other end had lost it. And then this customer service person, who's supposed to be calm, cool, and collected, also, gave it back, exactly, gave it right back to him. And that was really not nice, So the truth is, when it comes to communicating over the telephone, it's still the same principle. It all still applies to the fact that you need to, especially for a customer service who's representing an organization, just know that you are not the one that this person is having. You are not representing you. That's what I wanted to say.
You're representing
the organization. So, whatever impression you send into the heart of whoever it is that is calling you is that impression is not just you. They may not even know or remember your name. That impression already is formed of the organization.
Okay.
Yes.
Just one last one. We have 10 seconds.
Oops.
How big a deal is dressing, especially in the workplace, so social graces, etiquette, and the whole whatnot?
Okay. So our dressings are very important. I mean, whether you accept it or not, your dressing tells whether I should have a communication.
So dressing tells.
Dressing it speaks first before your words even begin to speak.
Dress as you wish to be addressed.
To be addressed, exactly. So, I mean, you can see a madman. I'm sure you wouldn't want to have any sort of communication with a madman because of your perception of what he represents or how he's dressed.
But do you think people are aware of that, are conscious of that all the time?
Okay, so unfortunately, people are not.
Okay, let's just close it right there. Well, this is the first of a series.
We could go on and on, yeah?
You will definitely come back, hopefully, some other time. Uche Imafina, etiquette consultant. It's not etiquette, please. Etiquette consultant and life skill coach. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay, at least now he knows, right? It's not etiquette.
Oh,
yes, that.
Director. Director, did you hear that message from my partner? So I wasn't present. I'm not dear. Thank you.
That's not socially gracious.
What? Not be there?
You were one there. You just said you were.
I wasn't present.
Good. Please. That's the beginning of the next segment after now. Stay with us.